people see that screen?
Yeah.
You can see the slide, guys, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So, yeah, good evening. Just a quick introduction. My name is Mark Harvey. I'm the chairman at Southern Rugby Club. We're based in Warwickshire in the Midlands. I've been involved since I was 11. I'm now nearly 60. And I've held the treasurer role for about 24 years, and I've been chairman for the last 6. So yeah, fairly young club, 1963. Like a lot of clubs, built by members, and not a lot of attention paid to kind of energy management at the time things were built. Not big, 6 ground floors, change room, 2 showers, club room that you can see some pictures of there. It's about a 60, 70 people seated area with a kitchen and bar. So similar to a lot of community rugby clubs. So myself, so I've been retired now for a few years, but previously I was at a large food manufacturer. We were spending something around £9 million a year on energy, gas and electric primarily. And of course, any change in the amount we're paying for a unit of energy was a massive on cost. So we had many initiatives of how to save money through simple suggestion schemes from the shop floor right the way up to multi-million pound 20-year payback initiatives. And it was while I was doing that, it made me think about our rugby club. So that was the real reason why I got involved in it. At that time, energy wasn't our big cost issue. In fact, 6, 7 years ago, energy was fairly cheap. So what did we do? So we looked at the club's cost base and where it's at. And when you actually look at the whole list of it, you'll usually find that energy, and by that I mean electric, oil, gas combined, will usually sit in the top 3 of your costs when applied to every club. But then what that drove us to was that actually when we looked at it, it was still very disproportionately high compared to other costs. Other costs being consumables, costs involved in with cleaning and stuff like that. It really stuck out. So I became the energy champion. And what I'd say is, if you want to start looking and saving money through energy, it's really just a one-off hard hit project. That's what we did. And if you do it and do it right, you then really only need to do some low check-in monitoring. It's not an onerous task year on year, but it's something that once you get your teeth into, actually you can actually get some real interest from, and of course deliver some hard cash savings. So the approach we took, you must look at the energy bill, the data from the energy bills. We went back and looked at it over 5 years. And what was really powerful, I put it in graphically to show people what had happened over the last 5 years. And in our case, it really was quite an eye opener through mainly the increase in costs of the energy, where you see massive step rise in the last few years. There's a bit of a bump, of course. COVID meant that we weren't there, and there were some drops in total costs. But if you normalized it out, you would see that there was a massive increase. One of the things that we also made sure we did was we provided regular meter readings for those energies that you're using. We've seen in the press recently, some people have been building up funds of 1,000, 1,500 through direct debits. We do ours every month, and we're at a position now where we've got our money in our bank rather than someone else's, and it's just a very simple thing. If you can go onto a smart meter at very little or low cost, then do it. If not, then you just need your willing volunteer to do those readings. When we delved into the energy contract, we, like a lot of people, just let the thing. It was tumbling through year on year. No one really had gone in and had a look to see what was on offer, and it was very interesting. The range of contracts that were and still are available. We did, in fact, look at the RFU, the buying one, where there was a support with a group buying on energy, but we were able to go somewhere and combine electricity with gas. And I worked closely with the treasurer on that. And my advice would be that we were looking, we've always gone for a 2-year contract now. 2 years gives you some idea of what your costs are going to be, but also gives you a get out should you see big changes in the market price. You can go out and get very short term, and you can get even longer ones. But for us, that was the one that kind of fitted for us as a club of our size. We're running 2 teams. We've got a mini juniors. Our occupancy is training on 2 nights of the week. We might be open 1 Friday in the week, open on Saturdays, and we've just started our junior minis in the last 3 or 4 years. So we're open on Sunday morning. So our occupancy isn't every week of every day of the week. And so what we were finding was there was some things that we were keeping switched on all week, when in fact actually we didn't really need to do that. So that prompted me, and this was something we did at work. So I basically did an energy map, so room by room, including the outside, just through a very simple Excel spreadsheet, noted down all the equipment's in there. Some of it's easy to gain, how many kilowatts it uses. Some it's a bit more difficult. But when you do that process, what you start to think of is, so what's on, where are the big power users, and what are the things that we could maybe do a little bit different. So in each one of those rooms and each one of those things, we asked the question, is it needed? We've all got stuff that's been running because it's always run. And so my point is challenge everything. So we found that we had 3 freezers in our small club. One was for ice packs for the players in the change rooms. One was for ice that was in the bar store, locked away out of everywhere. And then there was one that was in the kitchen for the food. We cut 3 freezers down to 1 without any loss of functionality of all of those 3 different things, just by challenging and saying, well, do we need it or switch it off? So we did that in every room against every function. The next way was, well, if we've got to have it, is there a better way of running it? So our bar really was only being used on Saturdays, but we were finding we were keeping all the coolers, all the bottle fridges were remaining on, which was crazy. So it was, well, why don't we start thinking about switching stuff off and only run it when it's really needed? And then if we actually got through that process and it was stuff that we needed, it was, well, what can we do? What can we do to save money if we invested in those things? And then what kind of paybacks were we looking at? So for each item in that category 3, just labeled it as a low, medium, or high investment. And for us, the low cost fixes was anything less than 100 quid. We'd look to do fairly quickly. And that was as simple as going through, and any that weren't LEDs, we changed all the LEDs. We put some PIR settings on floodlights that were on timers previously. We looked at adjusting the timers And literally, how long does it take someone to get in their car and leave? You'll be amazed. Some clubs leave lights going on for 15, 20 minutes after the last person. And it was that kind of mentality of what can we just change or adjust slightly, which covered the low hanging fruit. And we implemented over about a 2-year period most of those low cost fixes. And then when you're looking at things that that will basically give you far more return, this was the medium cost investment. So we were looking at a 3-year payback. So these were items less than £1,000. The biggest impact that we had was the use of a phone app controlling switching stuff on and off. So as I mentioned, our beer coolers have been left on all week. We challenged industry that said you should keep beer coolers cold all the time. There's more power used when they warm up and pull down. That's not the case, or for us in our savings, it doesn't seem the case. We tested how long it would take you to run a cooler so that when you delivered the beer, you didn't have wastage. And we got it down to 3 hours. So we know that if I sit at home or the bar chairman sits at home, he switches the coolers on 3 hours before, the barman goes in, pours beer, and there's no wastage, and we've used the optimum time. And it's the beer coolers, the bottle fridges has been one of the biggest areas that we know that we've saved money. We also, via this app, control the hot water for heating. So we've got 2 separate heated rooms. They've got separate controllers. And we also have 2 different boilers. Our showers are split now into 2 sections. If we've only got 1 team at home, we only heat water for 1 set of showers, and we can independently control those. We know the optimum time now for switching the boilers on. It's an hour and a half for it to get up to the temperature required. And then it automatically switches off the first time that someone uses a shower, so you're not heating the water that will never be used in effect. Light cry-offs, weather-affected games. In the old days, you'd have warmed your water up in the morning, ready for the afternoon. Now we warm it up from lunchtime. If someone's cried off, then we don't heat up the water and we don't waste that. So again, that installation of that app means that I can sit at home. I lie in bed and I can switch 9 different devices on at our club, all that are energy related, from a single app with a push button, and I know it's saving money. Then there's the higher cost investments. So we deem these as 5-year payback, greater than £1,000. So the big one we did there was where we put in 2 gas boilers instead of a very, very large one, so that we could optimize our hot water in the showers. We've also converted our floodlights to LED, but we have not yet started to think about solar or go down the route of heat pumps. But that's something I know a lot of clubs are looking to improve on. I said that what worked for us was having a single point champion. However, one of the things that we did then was wanted to educate the membership on how they could help, i.e. the switching off the lights, management of hot water, and feedback. And so we just give a little bit of information about how much money we'd saved on the stuff that people were doing. It wasn't a massive thing, because the biggest thing was having a small group managing the app that we had for switching the big energy users on and off. And my advice would be to focus on doing what feels right, rather than getting into the minute detail of, how much would we save if we switch this on and off because it's 5 kilowatts instead of 3 kilowatts. We're all adults and sensible people in rugby clubs, and you'll know once you start looking at it in a bit of detail where you'll get the low-hanging fruit and where you can get stuff done straight away, and the savings will definitely come. from 20, from 2018 to I said the 2021, we were about £2,300 on average, and that didn't change much. We then had COVID, of course, in there. In the 6 years, our usage has been variable because of games of rugby, I say COVID. Also, we bring on the juniors. We do a lot more non-rugby events now. But a conservative estimate is that, again, 2023 versus 2017, we've had a 20% reduction on our energy spend. If you were looking, when you build in the extra increase, if you had that, then we were looking at a saving of 35%. Our total investment over that 6 years, and this is on LED lights, it's installation of the app, it's some other controls, etc. It's been around £5,000. So overall, our payback has been 2.5 and 3 years. And we're now starting to see the real benefit of that as we hit this much higher rate on energy. Like your clubs, the rate almost doubled. And it's not going to get any better. So that was our journey. How do we monitor it now? Well, anything that we do in the way of buying equipment, we challenge it at a committee level. If it involves energy, do we need it? Is it the best option? And will it help us over the next 5 to 10 years? We do regular, as I say, meter readings, and it's just on the agenda of it's on our cost basis, and we could impact it. And yeah, so that's our story from a community rugby club.
That's brilliant. Thanks very much for that, Mark. And as you can see, they've done an awful lot at the club to develop and change, in some cases quite small things, but with fairly big paybacks over a longer period of time. And as Mark alluded to 3 or 4 times, those low-hanging fruit for me are key and things we can do very quickly in clubs. So the one question or comment we've got, Mark, is can we have details of the remote control app? So can I grab those off you over the next couple of days, and I'll send those out?
Yes, yeah, definitely, yeah,
brilliant.
Yeah, it's a fantastic, even for me as a non-user of that kind of technology, to be able to sit at home and control all the big elements at your club is very powerful. I'll do that, certainly.
That's wonderful. Thanks very much for your time, Mark, on that one. That's great. If you could stop sharing your screen.
Yeah, of course.
On there, and then I'll hand over to Stephen Eastwood.
With the chat.
Yep.
Can you hear me? Okay. Thank you. Stephen Eastwood. I've been at Burton Rugby Club for about 25 years. I was involved in the movement from an old ground to a brand new ground and building a new facility. So we had the luxury of being able to perhaps do things and plan things in the new build. But everything that they've done at Southam is absolutely spot on, and we're starting to go through some of that as part of our current next phase. So I just want to take you on an energy journey from 2021, when the new club opened. Just to give you a few parameters, it's on 2 floors. The total area of the 2 floors is 1,100 meters squared, 8 changing rooms and 35 individual showers. When we built the building, we set down our objectives, and that was to develop a building which would trend towards carbon neutral, but only invest in solutions which have sensible financial returns. So if it didn't make financial sense, we didn't do it. So we do not want to be green for the sake of it. The objective of the club was to have it heated and available for club and community use every day of the year. And generally, we keep that definitely through all the rugby season. And in summer, it also gets used quite a lot as well. The way in which we built the building is that we installed underfloor heating on both floors, with the exception of the gym downstairs and under the kitchen upstairs. To power the hot water and the heating, we installed a ground source heat pump. We looked at horizontal loops, but that would have taken up effectively a whole pitch, which we couldn't drain. So we actually installed 11 boreholes, which were 160 meters deep each. And that's basically the source of the heat for the club. That was installed when it was built, and that has functioned extremely well. We've never had a cold shower, and we've never had a cold room. One of the things that in the design of the building is that we have the hot water loop around the building is controlled at 55 to 60 degrees, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That was done, and it's basically covering heat loss by some electrical elements. And we monitored our energy usage using meters around the building, and we found that this particular usage was using 2 kilowatts of power every hour, 860 hours a year. So what we installed was an air source heat pump in the cellar, which cooled the cellar, and we took the heat from the cellar via the air source heat pump and generated hot water at just under 55 degrees, and we use that to heat the water that goes around the loop. The cost of that was about £6,000, and it paid back in 1 year. Solar panels, we had always envisaged fitting. We hadn't the capital when we put the building to do the solar panels. And what we are doing now is exactly what you're doing at Southam. We're not as far forward as you are at Southam, but we are looking where we're using electricity, reducing our electrical usage, so that when we invest in solar, we invest the right capacity for our needs, and we don't overinvest. We also have a good electricity contract for 3 years, and we've got another 18 months. So we will only put the solar panels in when we come to the end of that contract. Just to give you some numbers, if we had installed gas and electricity, which is the conventional way of heating, the total energy load on the building would have been 250 megawatts per year. In terms of CO2, this is based on 2030 numbers, and at the bottom of the slide you'll see what I've used for kilograms of CO2 per megawatt for gas and electricity for 2030. We'd have been generating 32 tons per year of carbon dioxide. The ground source heat pump, which eliminated gas, and because you get an efficiency factor, drops the 250 to 150. So that immediately dropped our CO2 loading to 7,500 kilograms a year, so 7.5 tons. That makes a significant difference. The change we've made in the air source heat pump for the Legionella loop has saved us another 1,000 kilograms a year. And our solar panels and this may vary a little bit, but it's an estimate, will take us down to about 100 megawatts a year of electricity. So that takes us to 5 tons. So we have made, when we finished with the solar, will be about 15% of the CO2 we would have used or generated if we'd been on fossil fuels. And that's a significant impact. And really, for me, the key bits, the first one is understand your energy usage. If you're considering changes or extensions, what should you do and how can you use alternative systems? What is the age and condition of your heating equipment? Do you provide cooling as well as heating? So, for example, at Burton, we use the ground loop to cool the gym in the summer. We use the ground loop, not using the heat pump, but directly into the cellar, because the ground loop's in 10 in the winter and maybe 13 in summer, and that keeps the cellar cool rather than running air conditioning type units in there. And the clubs need to ask themselves, do you want to save money long term or medium term? You then need to understand the best technology options and have a long-term energy plan, an operational cost and a reduction. So a lot of these things don't have to be done as one. You can have a plan and move slowly on that plan as time goes on. And clearly in our case, we at Burton said we'll use electricity, because electricity, with all the things that the government are doing, is going to get greener and greener. So you automatically drive down the CO2. And obviously, if you've got heat pumps, you have a good efficiency factor. We are achieving our heat pump. For every kilowatt of electricity we put into it, we get 3.85 on average since it started of heat out. And actually, with some of the changes we've now made, we're running in the summer at 4.5 and in the winter at 4. So that 3.85 is continually improving because of the way we've set it up and we're controlling it. So as far as we're concerned, we're hopefully playing our part in CO2 reduction. In the first 2 years of operation, we've saved over 60 tons of CO2. It makes financial sense. That's the heat pump performance at 3.85. If you look at the price of gas and the price of electricity, it actually is about 3.7 difference. So 7p for gas currently takes you roughly up to the 28p for electricity. So it does make financial sense, and we have a warm building for club and community use, hot showers and hot changing rooms. If you're considering technologies for clubs, solar and batteries with or without export is easy and available for most people, but that usually comes with a 6-year payback. Air source heat pumps for heating and cooling are very effective, relatively easy to install. You don't have to dig up the ground, and that technology is improving all the time in terms of the temperatures you can get to, but also the efficiency of air source units. Ground source heat pumps and heat loops are very good. At the higher capital, you'll get slightly higher efficiency, and it can be a more robust solution. Cellar cooling, room cooling, gym cooling, you can all do with a heat pump system, whether air or ground source. And the last one is wind power. And so far, my experience of wind power is that if it's in a sports facility, by the time you've got an exclusion zone, which you've got to have around your wind power, around your wind turbine, you lose too much space. So solar probably is a better option for most rugby clubs.
Mm.
The last thing is technology, is always developing. Financial returns are changing as the energy market changes, and people offer different tariffs at different times of the day, for domestic and for commercial. But the general direction is reduce the amount of energy you use and try and get that energy from green sources, but only do that really when it makes financial sense. Okay, any questions?
Any questions at all for Steve? Then, I mean, the one thing I would say is if anyone's in and around Burton at a weekend or even an evening and want to have a look around, I'm sure you'd be quite impressed with the work that's gone on there in the new build around the energy sort of piece as a whole. Again, thanks for your time, Stephen, tonight with that one. That's much appreciated.
No problem at all. Thank you.
And without further ado, I'll pass straight over to Nathan from Positive Energy. We've got two Nathans coming through, so I'll pass over seamless link and let you guys crack on.
First of all, I'd just like to say thanks for sharing that story, Stephen and Mark. Really appreciate it. It sounds like you've had a lot of success at your clubs and all the hard work has really paid off. Really insightful to hear about the success that you've had as well and the implementation of the things, how it's really paid off for your clubs and a successful story. So, yeah, my name's Nathan. Thanks for joining us here tonight to listen to us. I'm a partner manager here at Positive Energy. My goal is to enable businesses to make the correct informed decisions, like you guys sound your knowledge that you've got there, on an energy provider and how they can benefit from it. Personally, I believe one of the most important decisions you can make while running a business will be your choice of energy supplier and one of your biggest outgoing costs. Managing your consumption, searching for efficiencies and even accurate billing can easily become a complex task and time-consuming task. The time that you guys have clearly showed that you've invested there. Researching and maintaining the best possible tariffs and not suffering out of contract rates, high contract rates, can also seem daunting in a fraught and complicated market space. Our advice is to keep things simple and get the foundations correct, and then hopefully everything sort of materializes as well. Touching on services that Positive Energy offer, so we are a tech-driven company, and with that technology comes experience and commitment and efficiencies in business operations. Hope we can deliver that with the services we provide. We offer an array of additional service lines, so energy, electricity and gas. We offer payment services as well. Looking at getting into the water market, EV charging, which Nathan Daniels will be covering, our head of EV, later on. Currently, at this moment in time, we supply 144,000 business-to-business sites for energy, and we're the 7th largest supplier overall out of everyone. So just got a little poll for you here to vote on, guys. Some of the information might have been covered earlier in the presentations that you delivered with your knowledge. So do you know on average how much a small, medium enterprise, a SME business, could reduce their bills percentage by from installing energy efficient measures and implementing the behavioural changes that we've been displayed tonight?
I'm just going to launch the poll, so you should see this on your screen, so you'll be able to vote. Okay, so we're getting towards the end of that. Anyone else voting? Shut it off in a couple of seconds. Okay, a few people for 8 to 15% and a few for 25 to 32%.
Yeah, so the correct answer there is from research shows 18 to 25%. So just showing how them small changes can be pivotal in that cost reduction. A key example and simple energy efficient measures is for example, what's been mentioned tonight is a smart meter. That's something that Positive supply for free, just so you can understand your usage and the impact that you can have going forward, and your behavioural traits of your club, what that would facilitate while bills and saving wise. So we've been a partnership with the RFU since the 1st September 2022, and we've been proud sponsors of the RFU, and we've come together to offer club support and guidance on how to best manage their energy costs and help reduce the administrative burden on its volunteers and on you guys that work tirelessly with it. Understanding the need is more than ever, and it has been more than ever in the current climate. One of our founding members, Steve Daniels, is a strong passion for rugby, and he's heavily involved within the local club Mersey, having first-hand experience on the effort needed to run a successful rugby club and the challenges that you face. We stand by every team at Positive, from the grassroots all the way up to the top. And as mentioned previously, offer an array of services to manage clubs and focus on what really matters. Currently, at this moment in time, we have 143 grassroots clubs, and we hope and look to grow that exponentially within the coming year, and help as many clubs along the way as we can with our services that we provide. Together, we are committed to driving that positive change, both on the field and off the field, for the rugby community. Hopefully helping you guys on the call tonight and many that are not on the call going forward. Ambassadors we have at Positive, we're proud to work closely with England rugby player Claudia McDonald. She's come on as our sustainability advisor, and Rugby World Cup winner Kieran Bracken. There is a vital part of our leadership team. Giving Positive a true understanding of the core values of rugby, just to mention a few: teamwork, respect and enjoyment, and what's integral to the success within them clubs, how much help and support is needed. Sustainability is the core of what we do. Sustainability refers to the ability to maintain or support a process continuously over time. In business, sustainability seeks to prevent the depletion of natural or physical resources so they remain available for the longest possible time and enable that longevity that we can hopefully feed back into the clubs. In Claudia's role as our sustainability advisor, Claudia will work closely with us to raise awareness on the importance of sustainability for rugby clubs, once again having that first-hand experience, and support our goals and her goals to make grassroots rugby clubs more sustainable, both for the planet and within their daily activities. Once again, as you mentioned, Stephen, if it's cost effective for you as a club. So just going to touch a little bit on the market development now, on what we've seen within the gas and electricity sectors. The graphs and the data show and start since January 2020, and a few of the variables that have had impact on that time frame from 2020 all the way up until today. So as the UK became more reliant on imported gas, this meant that British gas prices become increasingly influenced by global events, especially those that affect the oil prices, as often European gas prices is all linked to the oil prices side of things as well. So supply and demand in 2020, COVID causing the lockdowns caused the markets to plummet, and the demand did fall away for it. But businesses did open back up post-lockdown, therefore increasing the demand and putting the pressure on the prices, and that uncertainty about what was going to happen, and then going back into mini lockdown, so that mini lockdown was the unpredictability that we saw. Geopolitical, a huge part of it as well. So build up to the war in the Ukraine, we see there, I think in the middle of the graph where it starts to spike, and eventually invasion, both causing markets to race upwards to unprecedented amounts that we've never seen. We were really exposed to the reliance on the Russian gas market and realised how dependable we were going forward. Speculation, once again, unpredictability kept the gas markets rising high, and uncertainty on what was next to come because of what we'd seen. Schemes implemented by the government, so the implementation of that and the energy bill relief scheme provided some support to businesses. So we did see that to sort of try and counteract, but not to the effect of what we saw back in early 2020. What we have seen come out of that is we're no longer now as reliant on the Russian gas market, but recent events in the Middle East, as we've all seen, have introduced a new wave of pressure on commodity markets, and that does look set to continue. We're also seeing changes and increases in the cost of the distribution energy around the network, and to balance supply and demand, the latter driven by smaller scale intermittent renewable generation. Energy markets have stabilised in the past 6 months, but they're higher than pre-COVID levels, and that probably does look set to continue. I think what we saw pre-COVID levels, that was a luxury period. I don't believe that was sort of the norm. I think the levels we're probably seeing round about now, that is the norm that we're going to be seeing for some time. So it's not getting any easier with so many variables that do impact it and do affect it going forward. So covering tariffs that are on offer and that positive offer. So we offer a standard fixed price tariff. So it's a bespoke price that's based on your individual consumption at your club or whatever business it may be, and your meter structure that you've got implemented within there. So that gives us the most accurate price, the most tailored price to yourself. We offer further reductions due to our partnership with the RFU, and that's for all RFU sites. So any price that comes to myself for prices and we deliver them prices, they'll all incorporate that discount due to the partnership we've got. That fixed price tariff that we offer provides that budget certainty for the duration of the contract. So once, as mentioned in the previous, it depends what you want to do with regards to if you want a short term and review at the market after that, or a 24-month or a 36-month if you think the market, what you're seeing at this moment in time, looks really favourable in what can be such a volatile market. So key points: always ensure you're in contract, or you could end up paying substantially more for your business energy. If you allow your contract to expire, if you don't move it to a more competitive rate. So the rates are known out of contract are deemed energy rates and could result in significantly higher energy bills, which is a waste of money for you as a business when it is so vital to your clubs. Which is why it's vital that you're aware of your contract end dates. Another service that we offer at Positive is something called bill validation. Our bill validation service allows clubs to know they're receiving the correct contracted benefits. So your bills co-align correctly with your consumption and with your meter. So this is something we do for all our customers to ensure accuracy is taken with regard to the consumption and what we're billing, whether that be month to month or at renewal stage as well. So a phrase we use a lot at Positive is meter, measure, monitor, and that's a phrase we say to a lot of our customers as well. Seems simple, but you can only reduce your consumption if you know when you use it and your usage patterns. So installing smart meters is the best way to do this and achieve this. You can understand your individual usage and how it's tailored to yourself. To help you to aid your measuring and your monitoring your usage, Positive, for example, provide an online customer portal called Analytics. So you can visualize your usage and track your individual behaviors, uniquely tracking your energy, your usage in that granular detail, hopefully improving your operational efficiency overall. Helping to monitor, measure, and minimize energy usage through the metering operations and options that are available out there to you. One example we've seen with clubs from speaking to people is, say, if you rent it out to a third-party facility, so smart meters, you can monitor that specific usage, and you can be charged appropriately for that usage that's during that time, if there's an event on or whatever it's been used for. Same with analytics as well, like the online customer portal, you can view that in that granular detail, so you can have the best understanding of it. As mentioned previously as well, which is brilliant to hear, small changes can have huge impact. Is reducing your baseline consumption is installing LED lights. Surveys, for example, have found LED lights can reduce your lighting costs by 50 to 60% per annum, overall making you the savings. Just them small changes that everybody can do, it can enhance your savings that are on offer to you. So just got another poll here, just to highlight how small changes can make a positive impact on your finances. Yeah, another poll there to launch. So how much on average could you save in your energy bills each year just by turning appliances off in standby mode?
So I've just launched that poll if you'd like to cast a vote. Again, we're sort of favouring the 65 and quite a few for £100 on that one.
Yeah, so that's correct. Correct answer is £65. Once again, just by showing that small change, how much of a difference that could make. And it's going to be even more if you're a larger facility than average. For an average small to medium enterprise, then it's going to even have a bigger impact for yourselves, hopefully so. So just talking a little bit about water services, which is a product we'll be venturing into shortly at Positive, and it'll be available to all our FU clubs in order to help you in that going forward as well. So April 2017 saw the introduction to the largest competitive water retail market in the world, bringing the biggest change to the water sector since privatisation. The new market saw 1.2 million non-household organisations in England no longer restricted to buying water services from the regional monopoly, and the ability to switch to a new retailer overnight at the press of a button. And it's worth noting that a large percentage of non-domestic sectors are still on deemed uncompetitive tariffs. So just ensuring that you're on the right contracted tariff for your water, you guys going forward. Covering sustainability, so at Positive, big believer in a greener future if it's right for your club and cost effective. So if your business is looking to make a positive impact on the environment, whoever that may be with as a supplier, carbon offsetting products are available within the market. So just covering a little bit on what the carbon offsetting side of things is. So it's a powerful strategy to reduce your carbon footprint by investing in projects that remove or prevent an equal amount of greenhouse gases from entering into the atmosphere. So a little bit on why it is important. So to fight climate change. So carbon offsetting is a key part of our fight against climate change. It's a way to take responsibility for our emissions and work effectively towards a sustainable future. Supporting sustainability with carbon offsetting by supporting projects like reforestation, renewable energy, methane capture contributes to a more sustainable planet going forward. Certified impact. So it's reputable projects, verified and certified, ensuring investment has a real measurable impact. Anything that Positive invest in along this trajectory can all be found within our website, so you can see projects that we've invested in through the carbon offsetting side of things too. So just to summarise tonight's presentation, a few key takeaways that I feel are really important. Ensure you're in contract and you don't suffer out of contract rates, and you're on a tariff structure that matches up to your usage and your meter, so specific and tailored to yourself. Once you mention that phrase, meter, monitor, meter, look at ways you can reduce your energy consumption. You can only monitor your usage if you know how to use it. Seems really simple once again, but it is the simple. Get the small things right, and then hopefully the big things are going to take care of themselves. Consider your environmental impact. We all have a role to play, and how we can mitigate certain things just through simple changes that we can all do. And look at cost mitigation, such as on-site generation, EV revenue, and other services that are available at Positive, or things you can do within your club, like mentioning like your floodlights and things like that, that can just enhance operationally side of things. Yep, that's the end of my side of the presentation. I'd like to thank you for your time and I appreciate you listening. If you have any questions, please let me know. And after this, Nathan Daniels will be picking up our EV side of things with regards to what Positive offer in regards to that and how that can have positive impacts within your club.
Great stuff. Thanks, Nathan. One question we've got, and I know sort of potentially ask Stephen Eastwood to respond as well, Nathan, but John from up in Tyndale keep looking at solar, but the feed-in tariffs are so low that you have to install batteries, which increases capital costs. Have you got any sort of thoughts on that or ideas?
Yeah, on the solar side of things, I would say that's not my field really. It's something Positive are looking at once again as a product to offer, but we're not there at legs with running it with it yet. So Stephen will be able to enlighten more on that with his first-hand experience.
Yeah, I mean, the market is changing. The only company I currently know that are doing it is Octopus for commercial and domestic. And basically, with smart meter installed, you can get different tariffs at different times of the day. And if you've got solar and batteries, this might seem crazy, but you can import electricity at 6p during the night, charge your batteries up, and then discharge your batteries back into the export system at peak times and get a revenue back of something like 24, 25 pence per kilowatt hour. So those are the sort of commercial parts that will change very much what you do on solar and batteries. So it is very much a changing world.
Brilliant. Thank you, Stephen, for that. And I'll come back to you on that as well, John, with a bit more info. So I'll hand straight over to Nathan Daniels, again from Positive, who'll take us through a different part of the business.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Nathan. Good evening, everybody. So not to confuse you, I'm also another Nathan. My role here is lead on EVC, or electric vehicle charging. The goal today is to give you an understanding of EVC and allow your club to have all the tools and information necessary to make an informed decision on whether the technology is right for you. I'll be talking about the EV space, the charging tech, key questions to ask about installation and usage, rules and regs, and of course, how we think your club can really benefit from having the chargers installed. As we go through the presentation, if you have any questions, like the other presenters, please put them in the chat, and we'll return to them in the Q&A session at the end. Also note, on each slide, there's a bit of a fun narrative that sort of explains EV charging from a user's point of view. So let's get the ball rolling, and we'll just dive into EV charging. So to start, obviously there's some stats on the market there, and as you can see from the slide, the numbers at first glance look fairly healthy. The largest growth came from the ultra rapid chargers, closely followed by the slow charger sector. However, I predict it's going to be very difficult for the ultra rapid sector to expand due to the limitations on the grid for the power supply. What I predict is that there's going to be a bit of a bun fight, effectively, to grab the high power required for these chargers in this space from people setting these sorts of sites up. And you can see the volume still fairly small compared to what we can see is the high density of EVs on the road, and obviously their continued predicted growth. So pressure on these sites will to continue to grow as the adoption of electric vehicles obviously continues to rise, and therefore the availability of these chargers will ultimately decrease. So what does that mean then? So where will people be expected to charge? EV chargers or EV drivers will therefore require other charging options, and this is where the fast charging sector or the destination chargers, ideally suited to rugby clubs, can make an impact. But to sort of understand this technology, it requires more education and a different thought train compared to the current fossil fuel approach to mobility. EVs obviously are still a fairly new technology, and obviously they all operate on multiple platforms, and can often be quite confusing, especially if you're migrating from a fossil fuel vehicle to an electric vehicle. So drivers need to learn and become familiar with EVs and the software they run on, and to be able to trust the information that's being displayed to them. So, for example, most of you will know the sort of range you'll get from a medium-sized car with half a tank of diesel on a motorway. But would you understand and would you know the range that you'll get from a comparable sized EV? Okay, just to go a little bit deeper into the technology, I appreciate it's a little bit geeky, but it's obviously a new technology and there's a lot there to understand. So I've tried to sort of keep it as brief as I possibly can without getting too technically challenging. But obviously the chargers come in different variations at AC and DC, and this coupled with different vehicle charging speeds adds to the education piece we've already described, or I've already described. DC chargers take a lot of power and charge at greater speeds. So they're best suited to sort of transient sites where a quick charge is normally required. The AC chargers need less power, charge more slowly, so they are obviously suited to places of an extended stay, i.e. rugby clubs. So to find the sweet spot at each location, consideration needs to be made to the dwell times of your customers or members, but also balanced against the freely available power, which will then determine the appropriate charging technology. So charging obviously is as easy as plugging in a cable. I'm sure most of you have got electric vehicles or curious about electric vehicles, and it is as simply as plugging them in. From a customer or member's view, consideration has to be made to things like, is the charger app-based? Have they downloaded an app? Do they need to prepay money onto an account? What's the cost for a charge? Is it working? How do I start it? And ultimately, who do I contact if there's a problem? So most of these questions should be addressed by the installer or the CPO, which is obviously charge point operator. But how your customers use these charges is the big question that needs to be addressed. So to give you an example, we've seen and been to a few sites where the chargers have been installed, but no consideration was ever made to the usage. So the business owner had no idea how to use them and no idea how to sort of help their customers use them. The result of that is that obviously the charges remained redundant for a considerable period of time, which is obviously not ideal if you've got customers looking to visit your site or your club in this case, and obviously rely on them. So as a supplier, installer, and a CPO, we've already addressed and have a solution to the issues that I've described above. Excuse me, but we'll talk about those in my final slide. Have a sip of water. Okay, so we've discussed a bit about the tech from the user's point of view and recognised that rugby clubs will have customers, members likely to have an extended stay. But before your club sort of takes the dive and seriously considers having chargers installed, questions have to be asked about the club's infrastructure. And does it have the means to support EV charging? So, for example, do you know what spare power is available? You know, do you know what the capacity in, what your usage is, and what you might have left redundant that you could obviously apply to chargers? And then from that, how many chargers can you have? How many are you likely to need? So what are your requirements now and what are your future requirements? Bearing in mind that EV, electric vehicle adoption will grow. Where's the best place for these to go? How will they be managed? What are the costs? How long will it take? Are there any grants or funding? Lots of questions that you could ask any potential installer. But any reputable company should provide your club with a full site survey and ongoing support addressing these questions. And of course, there could be a raft of other questions which are obviously site specific. At Positive Energy and being a club member myself, we do understand rugby clubs. As Nathan explained earlier, one of our directors, Steve, was founder of a junior section at our local club at Mersey. And we've basically adopted an approach to suit clubs. And again, I'll address that on my last slide. I think we're going to break for a quick questionnaire. Let's just stick this on the screen. So, is your club ready for the EV revolution? Please, can you answer one of the following?
That should be up on your screen to vote. Another couple of seconds on the vote. Very much looks on the disagree and strongly disagree on that one, which I think probably is my understanding of probably where clubs are at the minute in terms of EV charging points as well.
Okay, thanks for your input, everybody. We'll move on to the next slide. Okay, so obviously I don't want to bore you to tears and sort of go through recent regulations that you might have heard or might not have heard about, but basically the government's got involved and they've started to enforce sort of regulations and rules in this space. I appreciate you're probably juggling a lot of time and other club commitments tonight, but what I wanted to say was that the charge or the changes that are being introduced are to make the industry more reliable. They want to make the industry more transparent, and hopefully, like us as not only suppliers but CPOs, charge point operators, if we get it right, it will give a better charging experience for everyone. Looking at some of our competitors, we've seen that some of these new rules are causing headaches for CPOs, and that's based around sort of the payment situation and the sharing of data. But like I said at the start of the presentation, if you've got any direct questions regarding this space, you're curious about it, stick them in the chat, or if you want to, contact me after and I can provide you links to where to go and what to find out. Okay, so how does this benefit you, and how can your club benefit from having EVCs? So, you know, like we've said, love it, hate it, electric vehicles are going to be here to stay, and more people are benefiting from them and driving them and understanding them. Your club could be the ideal location to provide a charging facility, not just for your members, but for the surrounding community as well. So many people, me included, you know, every weekend they travel around the country with their children, you know, and on those early mornings away, it would be lovely to visit a club, drive an electric vehicle where I know there are reliable chargers that I can plug into, super simple to use as part of my visit. You know, I've got enough going on with a car full of kids and, you know, checking they've got boots and all kit and all that sort of stuff. I just want to go to the club, plug in and charge. I don't have to drive around or try and plan alternatives to make sure that I can get there and back. Another consideration is that, like our local club, Mersey, we share facilities. So we've got a football club, we've got a cricket club, we've got dog walkers, all sorts of people use the space. So what you can do is use a charging point to engage with the broader community, if you like. And an interesting point there is that there's still a huge amount of homes that rely on on-street parking. So they might look at this as an ideal opportunity to come and charge their cars. And obviously the benefit is your club doesn't have to be open for people to use these facilities. People can come and charge at their will, depending on how you manage your car park and what you want to do around this space. Again, it's another consideration. Like Nathan said earlier, you know, many businesses are looking to make themselves green and reduce their impact on carbon emissions. And obviously, installing chargers is another statement piece. It's another way that you can do it. But we also have a unique model in this space where the club can directly benefit from it too. So what are we doing at Positive Energy? How have we looked at clubs? and how can you benefit? So we understand rugby, like I've said, and we appreciate the challenges that the sport is facing. We only supply B2B, so we also understand business, and we want clubs to benefit from EVC. We provide a full site survey free of charge. We install our charges to positive customers for free. We've considered the issues around payment. So all of our charges use simple tap to pay tech. So they all have like an EPOS terminal. And this is also supported by an app and a web-based payment platform for extra ease and also redundancy. Clubs can reduce their energy bills with our charges. So we have a unique model where the more people charge, the greater we can offset your energy spend. We are a supplier and a CPO, so we can install, monitor, manage, and maintain our charging network 24/7, 365. And uniquely, we have a fixed price for charging nationally. So regardless of where you go, if you see one of our chargers, you'll pay the same price per kilowatt hour for your charge. It's a very, very unique point. And, you know, even traditional fossil fuels, your diesels, your petrols, etc., still can't manage to do that. So and the consideration for that was understanding it's a new technology, trying to take some of the anxiety out of, you know, a new member coming to your club, for example, and not quite understanding how it works and what's involved and what the costs are. We've also got fixed charges. So again, it's another recognition piece. So anyone that sees our charges, they all charge exactly the same way every time. So where are we going with this? What is our, you know, what is our ultimate goal? So we're in a trial phase at the moment. As we move out of that, we transition out of it, we plan to install about 3,000 chargers a year initially. And the combined goal of that is to become the country's biggest destination charging network within the next 3 years. To look at the charity side and other promotions and stuff to help support rugby clubs, we've sort of entered into talking to the Wooden Spoon charity, and we're looking at maybe setting up a dedicated RFU charging tariff that can obviously help and support them, obviously help and support RFU members as they migrate around the country and do these sort of nomadic trips to various rugby clubs around the country. And as Nathan said in his promotion, you know, we've got other people that are joining the positive community, so we're able to sort of offer promotions, and we want to get out and visit some clubs and offer our support as much as we can in this space. That's all I've got to say, but thank you for your time. Thank you for your consideration. And like I say, if you've got any questions, please feel free to stick them in the chat or ping us an email after, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Yeah, thanks very much for that, Nathan. In terms of, we've got a couple of questions. So, and I know this will be club by club basis and how many charging points, but have you got any examples of maybe clubs or organisations where this has worked well? And is there a sort of an estimate of what clubs are making out of this at the minute? Sorry, you're on mute, mate.
Got it. Too efficient. Yes, so like I said, we're going through trial phase. We have got 7 rugby clubs already extremely interested, wanting to go. So we're going to use those as a basis. We know it works because we've got businesses that are already using this model. And then what we'll be able to do is obviously advertise and start talking about those savings and get a real feel for what the true benefits are. But again, it really depends on usage. And you know, going back to that slide that I shared about the community, obviously some clubs are quite rural and they might only have you know, people visiting on a Sunday, whereas a club that's in the centre of town, surrounded by a housing estate, those charges might be used all the time. So it's very hard for us to predict at the moment. But when we get some data again, keep an eye on our website. There is a dedicated sort of RFU page on there, and we can start to try and give you some real sort of hardcore facts.
Yeah, no, I think that would be brilliant, and probably answers part of Mark's question and Stephen's question that were in there. And then just in terms of Mark's put about a 33 kV transformer in their car park with an extension planned. Is there any specific infrastructure that's needed around charging points, or is it just sort of plug in and play effectively?
Yes, so from a transformer, it would need to go to the club's consumer unit, certainly if you're using AC. Obviously, even with DC, it would need to go into some sort of control panel before it goes out to the chargers. But the key to this is having enough supply. Obviously, the more supply you have, the more chargers you can have, and then obviously the more cars that can plug in and benefit. And remember, these chargers, again, without getting too geeky, they ideally charge at around 22 kilowatts, but that can be broken down in half because we have 2 charging guns per charger, so that's 11 kilowatts a piece. So you can very quickly, and unless that charge is managed, and again that sort of falls back to the CPO, charge point operations side, we can load manage and load share, not only at the chargers but through the software, and we can also put a clever gadget into consumer unit so that if you have got a lot of chargers and you haven't got a huge amount of capacity, or you've got a heavy heat source air pump, or you know, an HVAC system or similar, it's not going to start flicking the lights out.
Yeah. Nathan, it's Mark Harvey, if you can hear me. So yeah, our clubhouse extension, we're looking to move actually to very close to this transformer. So we went in collaboration with the electrical guys because it benefited them. So it's actually on our ground.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm sure it's 33 kV. It's quite a big bit of steel. So it's probably about
absolutely.
2 meters high. 2 meters high by 2.5 wide. So and the cable in there is thick as a baby's arm that goes into it.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested because from what you can see, what the unique selling point of something like this is quick charge, and quick charge means massive amount of power.
Yes,
something
true.
that you can't get in the domestic. What you've got to think about, what can you offer different? So if someone that's got a cable get through their window into their car overnight, they'll put up with that. But someone that's getting a bit low and thinks, Christ, I've got to go 100 miles, they want something that's going to charge it in 20 minutes, don't they?
Yes.
And is that the way you can see things going, or are people going for more the long, slow burn at home through the cable through the window?
Yeah, it really depends on what. Normally when I'm pitching this, it goes to businesses. So we look at like customer dwell times and how long people are going to be there. My experience of rugby is, I turn up with my son, I'm there for a minimum of 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
An AC charger, the chargers that we're offering, at sort of 22 kilowatts or even 11 kilowatts, depending on the car, because obviously different cars change at different speeds, and this is where it all starts to get a bit confused. But that will charge my car from 20% to 80% in 2 or 3 hours, no problem at all. And that will give me a range of about 220, 230 miles. So that's fine for my dwell time. if you feel that you've got customers that or members that do want to charge in 20 minutes, then yeah, you'll have to look at a DC charger, and that's where you'll need that huge supply. And obviously you're very lucky to have it there. But the flip side of that, again, going back to my understanding of the rugby club model, is that you could have a lot of AC chargers. So you could offer, but a whole fleet of 22 kilowatt hour chargers.
Yeah.
That would then maintain far more customers, far more members to be able to charge all at the same speed, 22 kilowatts.
Yeah, no, I understand.
They'll all leave. And
yeah,
one thing that I didn't maybe touch on is sort of car park management and overstays. And if someone plugged in and is charged, how do you move them on?
Yeah.
So someone could be charging for 20 minutes, but they're expecting to stay for 3 hours. How are you going to find them on 4 pitches of rugby clubs? Or rugby pitches, beg your pardon.
What it sounds like, because I'm thinking not only just rugby club, I'm thinking of outside revenue. So you know that you start to market your car park and your facility as a facility.
Absolutely.
So it's a charge your car in 20 minutes at the rugby club for this, whereas most people it would take them 8 hours at their home. And there must be there's probably a sweet spot between the two different systems. Very interested. And
send me some more details. Some pictures and stuff like that. If you want us to, we can get some of our site surveyors down there to have a look and maybe give you a second opinion, depending on where you are with this journey with another supplier.
Well, we've gone for planning. We're expecting to get planning permission. For the extension into our car park for Christmas. And that's why I asked about the infrastructure. This is a time where you put in 4-inch ductwork between whether you want it or not. It might be 2 or 3 years down the line, but what is the kind of infrastructure while we've got diggers and we've got stuff around that someone would suggest that we do in a big car park that we've got?
Absolutely, and we make consideration to that all the time. Knowing these figures that I've sort of tried to loosely share with everyone on the call tonight. For the sake of a piece of duct, while we've got people breaking ground, we'll stick it in. Even that it's at our cost. Obviously, what we're doing is all down to us. We offer this for free. But we say to our customers, look, for the sake of extending that another couple of bays, we'll put the ducts in, we'll monitor what you've got at the moment. If after consultation with yourselves, we feel that there is capacity for another charger, we can literally pull the cables through that duct and connect another charger. So it sort of becomes modular. So we always try and have a big discussion about future plans. It might be that a club, like you were talking, some of the other presenters, Stephen was talking about his introduction of a heat pump. That might be sort of pushing those supply requirements up from the club, so that we have to knock the charging rate to the chargers down unless we go to the DNO and we ask them to upgrade the supply. So it's quite a mixed bag. And
I understand. I understand. I do understand, but it's something that wasn't even on. There's myself and a guy in the club. We're kind of heading this project, and we really hadn't kind of thought about how we plan for the future movement to more electric vehicles, and I see it not only offering the service to our customers, but also as a revenue stream for Joe Public.
Absolutely.
A revenue stream from Joe Public.
Yes. So,
brilliant.
Nathan, I've just got a question.
Okay, Stephen.
I can understand for the early adopters of electric vehicles if a rugby club had, say, 6 charging points.
Yep.
But if you actually go into the future,
Yep.
And I would say on Saturdays and Sundays we probably have 200 to 300 vehicles coming
Yep.
to the rugby club. If they were all electric, then 6 points clearly wouldn't do it.
Yeah, agreed.
So have you sort of any thought in your models of how you can facilitate a large number of cars?
Yep. So there's crikey a number of ways you can do it. So from a charger point of view, you can step all the charges down, and using the tech, you can allow the chargers to consider what's the lowest charged car and what's the highest charged car, and put all the priority into the lowest charged car, so they all come up to parity, to a level, and then they all charge at the same speed going forward.
But you'd have to have nearly 100 points,
potentially
100 connections.
There could be an argument where people don't overstay, so they'll only plug in for the charge that they need. So quite often, I've got a Tesla. I'll sit at the Tesla charging stalls, and people will constantly charge their car up to 100%. They don't need 100%. They just need 30% or 40% to get to the next charging point.
But if you take the rugby club example, they've then got to park, charge, come back to the car, move the car,
that's
someone else on.
Not ideal, no. But it is just to another way that this problem can be challenged. I don't think there is a true answer. From a grid.
I think some of this is going to come on trial and error over the next few years as these develop and sites grow, and people probably pay for an hour in a bay or 30 minutes in a bay or something like that. But
Nathan, what's the longest cable that you can go from the body of the device to the plug? Is it something like 10 meters?
Again, voltage drop is effective at all sorts of different lengths. So again, I'd need to understand the supply and what cables are there, and how. It does. Voltage drop is a problem. There's some clever cables and stuff now that try and eliminate that. And obviously on DC, they even have liquid cooled cables and stuff like that because of the high heats and the high voltages and stuff. So
right. Okay, just in terms of tonight, I'm mindful that we're running over. So what I'll do is I'll stop the formal session now.